Hey there, it's Jared Judge from Book Live Pro. Book Live Pro helps musical group leaders get perfectly organized. I wanted to chat with you today about asking for money for a gig before the gig happens without being pushy. So, has this ever happened to you where you book a gig and then at the end of the gig, you still haven't gotten paid yet, so you're waiting around for payment and you kind of just look around like, it's the wedding planner here? Do I have to ask her? Do I have to ask the venue? Or do I wait for a check to come in the mail? And then the musicians that you're leading, they all come up to you and like say, hey, where's payment? Like, can you Venmo me? They're like, oh crap, I don't have any money right now. Like, I never got the payment, so I can't Venmo you money that I don't even have. Or I'm gonna be nice to you and I'll Venmo you from my own bank account and collect the money there. That's a huge pain because that puts you in such an uncomfortable position, and it also probably puts you in a financially uncomfortable position too, because you're giving people your own money that you should just be paying from the payment that you got from the gig. If you were able to get the money before you even play one single note, then you would be able to play the gig much more comfortably, knowing that, hey, we already got paid for this. And at the end of the gig, you will not have musicians coming up to you asking for payment and you not being able to deliver it. It's a win-win. Clients are happy, your musicians are happy, and you're happy. So I run a string quartet, Dream City Strings, and we have learned how to manage payment expectations. We do between 150 and 200 weddings each year, and we've come up with a system to manage the payment expectations so that we get paid before we even get in our cars to drive for the gig. So it's a 3-step process. It's super simple. Step 1 is use a contract that have payment terms built in. So in your contract, you can actually dictate payment terms. Dream City, we do 2 separate payments. We do a deposit, which is 25% of the entire gig fee, and that is due upon contract signing. And then we do the remaining balance, which is due a week before the actual performance. So we don't show up to gigs unless we are paid in full a week before. The second thing to manage payment expectations is to send invoices and receipts. So sometimes this happens where they'll sign a contract and then they don't use the online credit card interface right away. I will send an invoice right afterwards that has, hey, your gig is here coming up and you owe a deposit of 25% and it's due immediately. Send them the invoice, they click it, they open it, there's a credit card box, they pay the deposit right away, boom, money in the account. Plus, it sends an automated receipt as well. And then the third part of managing payment expectations is to send payment reminders. So like I said before, we collect the final balance a week before the gig. What we do is we schedule reminders about that payment a week before the due date. So that's 2 weeks before the gig. So they'll get that reminder. It contains a link to the invoice and boom, it just pays. They click it, they click pay the credit card box and money in the account, sometimes 2 weeks before. We actually have had people pay their full balance right upon contract signing. We've had people log into Book Live Pro, months before the gig, pay the final balance. And it's all really nice because these are the ideal clients we want to work with. They treat you with respect and they treat you as the consummate professional that you are. So you might think that, like, are we taking this too seriously? Are people actually going to pay us money 2 weeks in advance of the gig? Like, are people okay with that? Well, the reality is actually, for most of the people who are planning these events, they're dealing with other vendors. So for example, if they're booking a wedding, they also are dealing with a venue, they're dealing with a caterer, they're dealing with a photographer, and almost every single one of these other vendors do the same exact thing. They manage payment expectations with a contract that has payment terms. They're using invoices and automated receipts. They're also sending payment reminders, and many of them are not showing up to their part of the gig without being paid in advance. So it's normal. Our industry expects that, and we need to take what we do just as seriously as the other vendors at these events. So we learned how we can ask for money before the gig without being pushy by using a 3-step payment expectations management system. The first step was using a contract with payment terms. The second step was sending invoices and receipts. And the third step was sending payment reminders. So BookLive Pro automates all of this. I would ask you to try a free 30-day trial, no credit card required, of BookLive Pro. You can check it out at pro.booklive.com.